demon time. Caitlyn's on demon time, bro. Oh, yes, she is. She's coming for blood. She's coming for blood. I don't know if the Fever is going to win another damn game without Caitlyn Clark.
Started the second half, Sophie Cunningham on the bench. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Sophie Cunningham was the only player trying hard. The only player giving effort, play in and play out.
The storyline of tonight's game, even though we lost, I don't want everybody holding their head down. No, we lost. We have to talk about Sophie Cunningham getting that ball. And all other people that has been saying and verbatimly saying that the Indiana Fever is better without Caitlyn Clark. I need y'all to look in the mirror and please let me know if you feel that same way after seeing this tonight.
Caitlyn Clark just pulled off the most intense, non-verbal play of her entire career. She stormed out, absolutely furious, after watching the Indiana Fever suffer a soul-crushing, humiliating loss. It was a visual that is now burned into the collective memory of every WNBA fan. Clark, with that shiner under her eye, her jaw set in a dead serious, try me, expression, looked like she was a second away from personally dismantling the opposing team. This wasn't casual frustration. This was the type of white-hot rage that makes a person start plotting plays in their head just to humiliate whoever dared to cross them. And in the wake of that public meltdown, there's only one logical conclusion: Stephanie White just got fired. The loss itself was a disaster, a true exhibition of futility. The Fever's defense was a crime scene, surrendering an astonishing 42 points off turnovers and second chances. Let that number sink in. 42. That's nearly half of the opponent's entire score coming from Indiana's own mistakes and lack of effort. It was a complete, unmitigated collapse of fundamentals. And the most infuriating, head-shaking part of the entire debacle? The one player who was actually fighting, the one person giving relentless effort play in and play out, was Sophie Cunningham. She was the only one trying to keep the team's heart beating. So what did the head coach do in a moment of sheer, incomprehensible lunacy? In peak White fashion, she benched Cunningham, the only player actually keeping the team alive. This fiery exit from Caitlyn Clark, with all its righteous anger, was a direct response to that jaw-dropping level of incompetence. The Fever didn't just lose, they made losing look like an art form. The final score was 95-60. Yes, you heard me right, 95-60. That's not just a loss, that's their worst loss of the entire season. And trust me, this team already has a scrapbook full of ugly defeats, but this one managed to beat them all.
We lost to the Valkyrie earlier in the season, 80-61, and tonight, against the Phoenix Mercury, we lose 95-60.
It was an embarrassment that even makes their 77-58 loss to the Dream and the 80-61 drubbing against the Valkyrie look like respectable efforts. And let's not pretend this was some close contest that slipped away in the final minutes. The body language was low energy and disengaged from the absolute jump. You could practically see the fight leave them after the first quarter, like they collectively agreed, yeah, we're done here. There was no fire, no passion, no urgency.
Tawana Bonner just got done doing your team absolutely dirty. You guys escape with a victory when they come to Indiana, and you wipe your hands of it like it's all over and finished with. No, it goes both ways.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the court, Alyssa Thomas was out there rewriting the WNBA record book, becoming the first player in league history to record 3 straight triple-doubles. 3 straight triple-doubles. While Dana Bonner, who clearly didn't get the memo that the Fever weren't going to play defense, casually drops 23 points. It was like Phoenix was hosting a skills showcase and Indiana had simply volunteered to be the stationary props. Fans are looking at this and asking the obvious question: can this team win another game without Clark? And the general consensus seems to be a resounding and definitive no. People are literally saying the Fever rolled over and died before halftime, which is frankly generous because some might argue they never even stood up in the first place.
The most embarrassing loss of the season for the Indiana Fever.
This wasn't just a bad night. This was a crime scene. And then there's Sophie Cunningham. Oh, Sophie. Back in her old home arena, she was the one person who actually seemed to understand what this game meant. For her, this was a homecoming, a chance to show out in front of her old crowd. She dropped an incredibly efficient 18 points, hitting a blistering 6 of 9 from the field, including 5 of 8 from deep.
Last game, when Sophie Cunningham wasn't getting the ball, guess what happened when they passed Sophie Cunningham the ball? She scored 18 damn points in 26 minutes.
Let's put that in perspective. She scored 18 points in just 26 minutes, and she was the only Fever player who managed to shoot over 50% for the entire night. But she didn't just put up numbers. She played with a palpable, visceral edge. She was jawing with Alyssa Thomas, getting into it with Dana Bonner, and even mixing it up with Kalia Copper. She was in full warrior mode, the only player with any visible fight, fire, or pride in her jersey. She was the only one playing like the game actually mattered. Post-game, Sophie tried to be polite about it, saying she was happy to be in Indiana and that the team just needed to stack the day. That's professional athlete code for, I have no idea why my coach made that decision, but I'm not getting fined over it. Her words were a shield for the coaching staff, a deflection of the obvious truth. Phoenix fans actually gave her a warm reception, cheered her return, and her own teammates basically left her for dead in a game that should have been all about getting her that win. Her performance was a defiant act in the face of a team-wide collapse, and it was a direct rebuke to the lackluster effort of everyone else on the floor. She was the one shining beacon of hope, and she was inexplicably extinguished by her own team. Despite being the only hot hand, the one player with any offensive rhythm, Stephanie White inexplicably benched Sophie Cunningham to start the second half. And for who? Lexi Hull. The same Lexi Hull who went 0 for 8 from 3 for the night. Let that sink in for a second. You have one player hitting over 60% from deep and another hitting a flat, stone-cold 0%, and you pick the 0% shooter to start the half. That's not coaching, that's insanity. That's a textbook definition of galaxy brain coaching right there. And the head-scratching decisions didn't stop there. White plays Kelsey Mitchell the entire fourth quarter of a game they're losing by over 30, while Sophie Cunningham, the only productive shooter all night, is glued to the bench. That's like keeping your one working engine in the garage while you take your broken-down moped on a cross-country trip. You're guaranteeing failure. There were no visible offensive adjustments. Aaliyah Boston had lit Phoenix up in the past, and instead of going back to that well, White decided to run a pointless, run-and-gun offense without Caitlyn Clark, the one player who could actually make that style work. It's like deciding to drive in a Formula One race in a minivan because you once saw someone else do it successfully in a Ferrari. This coaching performance was a complete collapse of logic and common sense. This is exactly how you end up with your star player storming out looking like she's about to personally dismantle the entire opposing team. You can't make this stuff up. Meanwhile, let's talk about the disappearing act from the rest of the so-called key players. It wasn't just one or two people having an off night, it was a team-wide epidemic of incompetence.
Aaliyah Boston, 4 points in 26 minutes, 1 for 6 from the field. We're talking about baby hooks. We're talking about gimmies with around 3 feet of the basket.
Aaliyah Boston, who should be dominating inside, especially in a game without Clark, finishes with just 4 points in 26 minutes, hitting a woeful 1 of 6 from the field. And these weren't tough, contested fadeaways. We're talking about close looks, baby hooks, shots within arm's reach of the basket. She got bullied inside by Thomas, Bonner, and Natasha Mack like she was a rookie fresh off a wreck. The supposed franchise cornerstone was rendered utterly helpless. Then we've got Kelsey Mitchell. Now, I've defended Kelsey before, but this game, absolutely not. She puts up 12 points on 4 of 17 shooting, goes 1 of 6 from 3, misses multiple free throws, turns the ball over 5 times, and posts a hideous -39 plus a minus. That's not just a bad game. That's delete the footage and pretend it didn't happen bad. That's an unforgivable stat line from a supposed veteran leader. Tasha Howard barely plays just 18 minutes before she's effectively benched once the game spirals out of control. The rest of the bench was basically invisible. Ari McDonald has 4 points and 3 assists in limited minutes. Michaela Timpson actually makes an immediate impact when she comes in, 5 points and 2 boards in just 10 minutes, but for some reason, she's barely used. You could have replaced half this roster with cardboard cutouts and honestly gotten the same result.
This game meant just as much to Sophie Cunningham as it did to the Indiana Fever when DeWanna Bonner made her return. The only difference is nobody on the Indiana Fever had Sophie Cunningham's back.
The numbers don't lie, and they paint a picture of a total collapse of execution, effort, and honestly, basic basketball sense. Let's just start with the fact that Phoenix grabbed 44 rebounds while the Fever managed only 32. This is with Indiana having the tallest player on the court. That's like showing up to a buffet as the hungriest person in the room and somehow leaving hungry because you couldn't be bothered to get in line. You've got height, you've got size, but apparently, you've also got an aversion to basic boxing out. And it wasn't just the rebounding. They handed the Mercury 42 points from turnovers and second-chance opportunities. That's nearly half of Phoenix's total score coming directly from Indiana's own mistakes. And the shooting numbers? Oh boy.
I need somebody to make that make sense for me. 12 assists as a team. 22 total turnovers. 12 assists and 22 turnovers.
The Fever as a team shot a dismal 34% from the field, an even worse 23% from 3, and a truly embarrassing 53% from the free throw line on just 13 attempts. It's one thing to miss shots from deep, that happens, but missing nearly half of your free throws? That's just not caring. Those are free points. They're literally called free throws. You don't care. You literally left your teammate hung out to dry. This wasn't a loss. It was a total collapse. It was the product of 22 turnovers against only 12 assists. That's not just bad. That's, are you even trying to pass to your own team? Bad. The ball movement was non-existent. Constant giveaways, lazy passes, no structure, just pure, unadulterated chaos. At times, it felt like the Fever's offensive strategy was to throw the ball at the nearest person wearing a different jersey. I need somebody to make that make sense for me. This loss to Phoenix wasn't just bad, it wasn't even just embarrassing. It was the full package. A glaring, neon-lit example of everything that's wrong with the team right now. From the lack of defensive fundamentals to the baffling in-game decisions, from the absence of accountability to the visible disengagement of the roster.
And what, you didn't have your team ready tonight? From a mental standpoint, from a game plan does anybody do you guys practice? Do you guys watch film? I don't understand.
This was the kind of game that forces uncomfortable conversations in boardrooms. And if those conversations haven't started yet, they will. Because when your only reliable player on the night is sitting on the bench while you hand your opponent 42 free points from your own mistakes, you've stopped losing basketball game. You've started giving them away. On the court, players looked disengaged. This wasn't a case of being overmatched talent-wise. It was an attitude problem. A lack of urgency, a lack of fight, and a lack of anything resembling pride in the jersey. And with Caitlyn Clark's return on the horizon, the pressure is only going to mount exponentially. Because once she's back, there's no hiding behind the "we're short-handed" excuse. If this level of coaching and preparation continues, the microscope is going to be firmly on Stephanie White, and the questions about her future won't just be coming from angry fans. They'll be coming from the people who sign her checks. Sydney, Cunningham, and McDonald were all hurt. But the real problem isn't injury. It's a fundamental lack of coaching and effort. Clark's anger was justified. And in the end, it was what sealed the deal. Stephanie White's firing was the only logical outcome of a team that has completely lost its way. Stick around. Hit that subscribe button and let's keep uncovering the stories they don't want you to hear.